with the release of Dragonflight, there's going to be a complete revamp of the current profession system as we know it. It's going to be going in a new direction in how you're looking to craft things, and there's going to be just a lot of improvements to the system as a whole. So I wanted to make a video covering that because I think it's really exciting, and if it's handled correctly, could be incredible and could be in many ways its own endgame system for a lot of players, and definitely is going to be something that I'm going to be getting involved in. So without further ado, let's jump straight into this. So right now I'm on the alpha, and they've just released a new patch which I haven't been able to check out too much of just yet. They've updated one of the profession guys. So the other day I got to check out some alchemy and some blacksmithing. Haven't really spent any time with the jewel crafting or leatherworking as much yet, but I will also have some comments on the leatherworking for now as well. So there's a lot of changes coming, and it's kind of hard to know where to start with a lot of this because of just how fresh and new a lot of this stuff is. But right now, I'm looking at alchemy and leatherworking. I think the best way to start off this is looking at the different levels of things that you're going to be able to craft. So each ingredient that you're going to find, whether it be vials or herbs themselves or crafting reagents, they're going to be ranked in either bronze, silver, or gold. They're going to have 1, 2, or 3 marks on. I believe for crafting, so like, you know, like actually crafting armor and gear and things, it's actually going to extend to 5 levels of crafting, not just the 3. But with things like herbs and stuff, it's limited to 3. So when you actually go and find like, you know, herbalism nodes, mining nodes, skins, they're all going to be ranked to a certain level. And so what that means is by increasing your skill in that certain aspect, so your herbalism skill or your alchemy skill, whatever it may be, you're going to increase your chances of finding higher ranking things. And then also when you increase your crafting skill, you'll increase your chance of producing higher quality items. Now, I want to stop here for a moment and talk about the pros and cons of this. So this is really cool, in my opinion, because it adds a little bit of flavor to what you're mining, what you're herbing. You're going to that node, and yes, okay, it might be a really impactful node. So for example, in like Mr. Pandaria, you find a golden lotus, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, golden lotus. This is cool. After a little while, it no longer has a great feeling and a great effect on you. But with these different levels of like herbalism ability and skills in general, the ability and the level of crafting materials that you can find, you might go, oh, I found a golden lotus, a golden lotus. And you have this improved level of like herbalism and whatnot, which is going to be more profitable and is going to result in higher quality items. So it all works really nicely together. However, the bad thing is that if you have on your bars like 2 different qualities, so right now these are 2 different qualities on my bar, you can see at the bottom. This elemental potion of power is a higher quality and it gives me 359 main stat, whereas this one is of a lower quality and it gives me 270. What happens is that if I say I only have 5 of these elemental power potions left in my bag, or let's say I have 1 left, and then I have 20 of the lower quality. If I use my higher quality potion, it doesn't automatically then replace this potion on my action bar with the lower quality potion, which means there will be situations at times where you will run out of certain potions or flasks or whatever it may be, and you'll want to use a lower quality if you have it available, but it won't automatically adjust your action bar, which is going to be quite inconvenient when you're trying to use them on the fly in high stress situations where you might not have as much time to be switching those things around, or you might forget and you might go, oh wait, I'm out of pots, I thought I used something, right? I thought I used my invis pot button, but actually you were using a different level of pot. So that could definitely be adjusted in the UI, which would be cool. Now there's also, I've just seen here as well, there's also this skill level of specialization, which is interesting. So there was an interview between Wild Krendor and Ian Hazakostas, and he asked Ian, you know, back in the day you had armor smiths or you had weapon smiths, for example. Are you going to have to pursue different specializations? And Ian said, no, you will eventually have everything unlocked. And there's even going to be like profession talent trees, which are really, really cool. I haven't actually had a chance to check those out yet, but I do definitely want to check those out. Maybe I'll make that as a separate video because there's so much like meat to jump into here. But what's really interesting then with the profession system is how it's then going to work. So you can see this new UI design that we're looking at here, and I want to take you through that a little bit. So you're going to have these 3 different ranking systems as well as your actual level or crafting skill level. So right now, your Dragon Isle Alchemy can go up to level 100, but then you also have things like recipe difficulty, which determines how much skill is required to make this recipe at a high level. Now, I haven't fully been able to figure out exactly how this particular skill is working at the moment, which sounds cringe that I'm then making a video, but hey, you know what? It's alpha. Not everything not everyone's going to know everything, but it's, you know, you can still continue on. But you then have the crafting skill level, which is interesting. So if I have a button here which automatically selects my highest level quality of reagents, but if I have, say, some lower level reagents, so say we're going to craft, some mana pots here, right? And I buy some of these bronze level ocean blooms. Well, my crafting skill level drops to 18, right? So it's default 0 and then gets improved by different materials. But if I then use fully the best possible herb, my crafting skill level increases to 58, and then also my chance of getting an improved mana potion, that chance increases, which is quite cool. But then you can even do some interesting things. So say I have 10 of each. Oops. Opened up the wrong ability there. Say I then have 10 of each, right? Then it adjusts the crafting skill level. And I can still craft this recipe even with different levels of herbs. So as long as you have like the minimum quality in order to craft that thing, you will be able to craft it, but this crafting skill level will be shifted based on that. And your crafting skill level is going to determine what quality of product you are going to be producing, and it's adjusted by the quality of the items that you're using as well, which is very interesting. You get different vials and stuff like that from the vendor. You then have an inspiration ability or skill. So this is default. You have a 5% chance to craft this recipe with X bonus skill. So this has a chance to craft the recipe as if you're at a higher crafting skill level, which again, you have like this low chance to have a higher quality of item produced. So there's like this element of RNG. You have calculated skill increases from reagent levels or reagent qualities, and then you have a small element of RNG. Now you think, oh well, you know, there's RNG in the crafting, that's a bit, you know, maybe frustrating and could cause some issues. But what's interesting is you can actually then create crafting gear which either increases your crafting skill level, increases your inspiration level, has effects on your crafting ability, which is really quite cool. And then when you're able to actually craft some of these things, your general expected quality level will improve as you continue to level your alchemy level, and just generally your quality will improve as you craft these things. What's also cool is that then when you craft an item, you have this nice little UI window to say, hey, this is what you've crafted. And say you craft like 50 different things, you can scroll through and see exactly what you got. The only thing I would like to see with the improvement to the UI here is seeing the different quality immediately. You can, I mean, well, I guess it's easily visible here with the level of quality. But then when you mouse over things, it shows you different levels. But I guess being able to see the quality is good here. So, yeah, actually, I guess you can just ignore what I just said there because you can actually see the quality quite nice. When I was first messing around with this, I guess I didn't really notice the quality at first. I just saw the item, and then I thought I had to mouse over everything, but actually, yeah, it does give you a quality window. So ignore me. No criticism there. That's great. Now, what's interesting, again, with Alchemy, is they're changing the way that your flasks work. So you're going to have differences. So now your flasks are going to be called files, and they only last 30 minutes. However, there are tons of them. There are absolutely tons of potions. 11 pages of different potions, of course, in 3 different qualities each. But then as well as that, there's a bunch of different files with a bunch of different effects. Some of them you can use whilst dead. Some of them have fun, goofy effects, like Potion of Gust, which launches you forward, but it's on a separate cooldown than other things. It's quite kooky, quite fun. There are going to be, I think, a lot of useful different situational files, which is good. However, I could see the use of files being very expensive in Raid and in Mythic Plus and stuff when they only last 30 minutes. But hopefully the reagent requirement is lessened as a result. You can, however, double stack them. So I can, for example, use one of these files here, which is going to increase my primary stat. And then if I use it a second time, it should increase it to 60 minutes. There we go. It increases it to 60 minutes there. And, well, that's interesting. It procced. Did I proc it from casting? Oh, okay. Just periodically grants it. Okay. I thought I procced it from casting it a second time. But, yeah, so there's a lot of different interesting files and things that you're going to be able to pick up and use, which is cool. And Alchemy in general, there's some interesting things returning. So I do like that they're bringing back transmutes, and they're bringing back like primal earths, primal airs, all that kind of stuff, which means that there are going to be mobs out in the world that you're going to want to go and farm and kill in order to find these things, which is really interesting with Alchemy. I think like primal airs and all that kind of stuff was like a cool farming thing. You could go sit in one spot for a couple hours a night, and you could just be doing that whilst you're in, say you're looking for Mythic Plus groups and whatnot. You can go and be out farming. You can go and be grabbing up these reagents and whatnot. Hopefully they would make, what I would like to see is with some of these like, with these primals and whatnot, say there's a need for like the group finder, say they're missing healers for, let's say LFR or for dungeon heroics and whatnot, time walking, and you're missing healers or a tank or an important role. Imagine if you could get some goodie bags, and the goodie bags contain some of these primals or some pots and flasks and things. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, you'll get your trinkets back as well, which some of these are pretty cool. And then as well, let's take a little look at leatherworking. So there are some really interesting design decisions with how some of this gear is going to work, and this is something I've been crying out to Blizzard for a while now, where I'm saying, hey, gear is so boring in the sense of, oh, is this going to be crit mastery, or is it going to be crit haste, or crit verse? And there's not tons of super interesting like design decisions when it comes to items. In general, weapons and trinkets have unique effects. There's tier sets. But outside of that, a lot of the gear is just very repetitive and uninteresting, and it's not super exciting when items do drop. However, right now in Alpha, they are changing that in some ways. So there's this crafting gear, requires level 70. Using a speller ability has a chance to rally 10 nearby allies to victory. They gain 42 versatility. Interesting. Okay, still getting versatility. Not super interesting, but kind of cool. The ancestral spirits assist you, causing you to deal 1% more damage to targets who attack you for 5 seconds. Okay, ramping up a little bit. You are wrapped in an intense heat, which burns nearby foes for 500 fire damage every 3 seconds. Some of these are really quite cool, and actually, my favorite one, I'll show you, it requires blacksmithing. Some of these are very cool. If we open up blacksmithing here, this is hands down my favorite item, if I can find it. Where are you? There you are. So your cooldowns are refreshed And your movement speed increased by 331% after defeating a dungeon or raid boss that would grant experience or honor. And a lot of people have said, oh, but you're not going to get it at max level. This seems pointless. That's so sad. But if you look, these require max level. And it's if this thing would grant experience or honor. If you're killing things your level, which you will be in raid, mythic plus, whatever you're doing. Well, I mean, it's not questy great, it's dungeon or raid. But they would grant XP because they're the same level as you, so it counts. So you get complete cooldown reduction or refreshment and insane movement speed for well, I mean, it doesn't say for how long. But this is really, really cool. Obviously, this is a placeholder. It could get changed. But that definitely could have an impact on how you play some dungeons and things like that. Raid bosses, I guess, a little bit less so, but things like this just really cool. I'm glad that they're taking some chances on items and adding in some really cool effects. But this is basically like the profession system in general. You're going to be able to slot in like custom items to affect like the stats and affect the chance of it increasing in value. So you're going to have a bunch of different like you're going to be able to increase the item level of certain items that you craft. So I think if we scroll down, where's the low? Yeah, so you have like 2 70 item level gear. And in fact, I don't think it's going to let me do it because I'm not leveled up. Yeah, okay, it's not going to let me do it, unfortunately. But there have been ways for you to increase the item level of items. So it might be like a base level of 323 item level. But if you put in enough reagents, then you can increase the item level all the way up to like 370 or something like that. Which is quite cool because there's an investment, a long-term investment in your professions and trying to then increase the quality of the items that you can create. Eventually, when people, you know, if you can get your professions online very quickly, or eventually if people are making alts and whatnot, you can gear them up very quickly and sell this gear for hopefully a good amount of gold. Now, my only issues with the profession system so far, I do like a lot of the stuff that they're trying and they're attempting and, you know, having these elements of RNG a little bit, but at the same time, you can work towards incremental improvements constantly. So that RNG lessens and lessens and lessens, which is cool. Or you can increase your levels of RNG, which is, you know, the similar thing. So this is cool. I like this. I like the UI. I like the direction that they're going with this. I like the quality of different items as well. My only concern with this system is if you're going to be able to log in day one to Dragonflight. Let's say you have 10 million gold in the bank, or even 1 million gold in the bank. You log in day one of Dragonflight. You learn the new profession system. There are a bunch of people on bots going around farming up hubs and ores and stuff. And day one, the auction house is flooded. You max out your you spend 500,000 gold maxing out your profession, and then for the whole rest of the expansion, you're just maxed out, everything's maximum quality, and you're just done in one day, and all you've spent is like a bit of gold. You spent like 2 WoW tokens worth of gold, right? That would be very, very upsetting, and I feel like it would just be real, like it would just completely destroy the whole system that they've been creating if you can just immediately spend a huge amount of money, but not even that much in the grand scheme of things when people are at gold cap 10 times over. Spend the money, spend the gold, buy 2 WoW tokens, whatever, and then you just maxed out, and then the system's just dead. That would be really shit. That would be really, really dull, and it would kill the whole system for me. What I would like to see is big, long grinds. Make this its own endgame system, but make the quality of the items very powerful, very strong. Particularly with gear, right? Potions is one thing. Gems is one thing. Enchants as well. Well, actually, no. Enchants, you can make long-term investments in getting the best enchants, you know, like it used to be, a longer-term investment. And you'd go, oh, this is the person on our server that has that enchant. No one else on the server has it yet, or very few people have it yet. Cool. That person that worked really hard to get that recipe, either through a reputation grind or like, you know, a drop from a certain boss, whatever it is, that person now can capitalize on that and make a bit of gold before everyone else then gets access to it. But make these long grinds. And I know a lot of people, they've spoken to me on stream and they've said, Sai, but, you know, what about if I only have an hour a week to play the game? Well, then you know what? That's unfortunate, but you can't expect the game to be designed around you if you can only play a couple hours a week. It's just not the way that MMOs are designed. But at the same time, you can at least log in every week and know that you're working towards a goal, and every week there's something that you can be achieving. You can be improving your skill every week, and you can say, hey, you know what, this week I want to try and max out my mana potion production, and I want to just make these mana potions, and I just want to get the best possible mana potion I can get, just so that I can like achieve that and tick that off my list. Cool. And then move on to the next thing and whatever it is. So if they can handle professions like that, I'd be really, really happy. If they can make it a longer term investment, if they can make it take weeks and potentially months, you know, quite a few weeks, I'd be happy with that. Make it its own end game system. Make it not just something that you can spend 1 million gold on and immediately day one be capped out on. Those are my thoughts on the profession system so far. Hope you like it. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think it's missing? What do you think it needs? What do you think's really good about it? I want to hear all about it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out those talent trees in a separate video as well. I'll look at those. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. See you soon.